In every shadow, a story waits to be told. Welcome to Dark Eerie Chronicles, where your nightmares become our stories. This story has been submitted by Zane and is being narrated by Dark Eerie Chronicles. I'm not really the kind of guy who believes in horror stories, but what happened to me in 2002 on the K2 base camp still messes with my head. I still have dreams sometimes. Same mountains, same night, same feeling of being hunted. It was June. I was 25, living in Lahore, working a boring sales job, desperate for a break. A few of us, university friends and some new guys from a trekking club, decided to do the K2 base camp trek. Back then, it wasn't popular like today. There were no YouTube guides or tourist maps, just some word of mouth from trekkers and Pakistani climbing forums. We knew the basics. Start from Skardu, drive to Uskol, the last village, then walk for days across glaciers and barren valleys till you hit Concordia, the place where you can see K2, Broad Peak, and Gay Shurbrum, all the giants. The trek had a reputation even then, not for beauty, for death. People talked about it the way old sailors talk about storms. Urban legend was, there's an area before Concordia, near a broken part of the Baltoro Glacier, where trekkers go missing. No storms, no landslides. They just disappear. Some said it was the altitude messing with your head. Others whispered about old spirits, mountain guardians that didn't like people crossing certain lines. But honestly, we didn't care. We were young. We wanted adventure. And besides, stuff like that happens to other people, right? There were 8 of us. Me, Zain, Aftab, my closest buddy, 2 cousins from Karachi, Shahid and Atif, and Fahim, a quiet guy who mostly kept to himself, plus 3 porters, Bashir, Javed, and little Rayman, just 18 years old. First few days were fine. Hard. Freezing at night. Burn your face hot in the day. But manageable. By day 5, the landscape changed. No trees, no greenery, just rocks. Ice. Endless shifting gray. The glacier under our feet cracked and groaned when we walked, like the earth was alive and annoyed. The porters started acting weird around that time. They wouldn't camp near certain rock formations. They wouldn't even look at some of the broken ice fields. We thought they were just superstitious. One evening, Bashir quietly told me, "Voices come out of this glacier at night. Don't answer them." I laughed, thought it was just mountain myths. But that night, lying in my sleeping bag, I heard it. It started as a faint murmur, like someone speaking from far away, under the ice. At first, I thought it was the wind, but then it became words. My name, soft, clear. Zane. I sat up so fast I hit my head on the tent roof. Nobody else reacted. Everyone else was dead asleep. I told myself it was just exhaustion. Altitude hallucination. I forced myself to lie back down. Didn't sleep a second. Next day, Fahim looked sick. Eyes sunken, lips cracked. When Aftab asked him if he was okay, he just mumbled, "He called me last night." Who called? What was he saying? I didn't ask anything. Didn't want to sound crazy. By afternoon, Fahim was gone. Gone. One minute he was with us. Next minute, nothing. No footprints. No cries for help. Just gone. We searched till sunset. The porters refused to look at night. Whoever's gone is gone. Bashir said, I felt sick, but what could we do? We couldn't camp out there forever. We had to move. From then on, it felt like the mountain was watching us. At night, we heard things. Footsteps crunching outside the tents. Shadows moving between the rocks. But when you unzip the tent, nothing. At one point, Shahid broke down crying. He kept saying he saw Fahim standing far off, waving at him. We all started arguing whether to turn back. Atif snapped, "If we turn back now, we'll all die." He was right. We were too deep in. We decided to push to Concordia, call for help from there. Second, last night, we camped near a cracked ice wall. The cold was unreal. Even breathing hurt. I couldn't sleep. Kept hearing that whispering. At some point, I opened my eyes. And I swear to God, I saw someone standing inside our tent. Not outside. Inside. Silhouette against the thin fabric. Head tilted. Watching. I shut my eyes. Prayed harder than I've ever prayed in my life. In the morning, Rehman was missing. We didn't even search this time. Nobody said it out loud, but we all knew. Whatever was happening, it wasn't human. We reached Concordia 2 days later. Battered, frostbitten, half crazy. We got a satellite radio call out for a chopper. When the army pilots picked us up, they looked at us like we were prisoners of war. During the debrief, when they asked for names and head counts, I realized something that chilled me to the bone. They had 8 trekkers listed on the manifest, not 7. I tried correcting them. No, there were 8 at the start. We lost Fahim and Rehman. The officer stared at me and said, "Beta, your group had 6 members when you left Uskol. I have the records here." 6, not 8. No Fahim, no Rehman. Names didn't exist on the permit. No payment records. No ID cards. Nothing. I looked around at Aftab, Shahid, Atif. Their faces said it all. They remembered them too. They had shared tents with them, laughed with them, mourned them. But officially, those people had never been there. It was like the mountain had tricked us. Like it had made us bring its own shadows with us. Once back in Lahore, we went our separate ways. Didn't speak to each other for a while. To this day, we never mention our trek to K2, but the memory still haunts. They call it the Skeleton Lake, Rupkund, perched at 16,500 feet in the Garhwal Himalayas of northern India, a place where myth bleeds into history, and snow-covered silence hides the whisper of 1,000 secrets. I first read about it in an old issue of National Geographic, black and white photographs of exposed human bones buried under snow. Locals called it cursed. Scientists claimed it was the result of an ancient hailstorm from the 9th century that killed a royal pilgrimage, but I didn't come to believe any of that. Not until 1997. Back then, I was 35, a seasoned trekker from Egypt, with years of climbs in the Sinai, Morocco, and the Caucasus. I was teaching trekking techniques and survival to international students as part of a joint Indo-Egyptian mountaineering exchange. That summer, I led 2 students, Anil, a soft-spoken Delhi engineering grad, and Zoya, a spirited anthropology major from Mumbai, on an advanced field trek to Rupkund. It was supposed to be academic, safe, just a 4-day loop through forest, meadow, and glacial terrain. It became something else entirely. We started from Lohajung, a sleepy mountain town drenched in pine and mist. The air had that sweet chill of cedar and cow dung. You could hear distant bells, the clanging of mules carrying goods up narrow paths. We reached Didna village by sunset. The locals were kind, if distant. One old man stared at us longer than felt comfortable. When I greeted him, he mumbled something in Garhwali that our guide translated roughly as, "Don't wake what sleeps beneath." I laughed it off. Anil and Zoya asked me about the skeletons. "They are real," I said, stirring our lentils over a wood fire. "Discovered in the 1940s. Maybe 300 people, maybe more, most with cracked skulls. Some say they were pilgrims, some say warriors. Others say worse. Zoya was fascinated. She kept pressing me about folklore. Anil, on the other hand, looked uncomfortable. "People here believe the lake is cursed," he said quietly. "My grandmother's village isn't far. She told me never to come here, said the mountains remember pain." I wish I'd listened to him. The next day, we hiked through dense oak forests. Sunlight flickered through the leaves like a strobe. Birds would fall silent for minutes at a time. No wind, no animal sounds, just the rhythm of our boots on wet soil. That's when we saw the first cairn, a stack of smooth stones not part of any trail. I thought it was a waymark. Zoya leaned in closer. "There's something under it," she said. We cleared the stones. Beneath it was a half-rotten cloth bag inside, an old prayer book in Sanskrit, a broken horn flute, and a crude doll made of bone and hair. Zoya was thrilled. Could be tribal, ancient, maybe even pre-Brahminical animist culture. But I felt wrong, like we'd just pulled the cover off a grave. We left the items there, rebuilt the cairn, and kept walking. That night, our guide left without a word. We woke up to find his blanket empty, his rucksack gone. No note, no tracks, just a faint circle of ash where he had been sleeping. Zoya joked, maybe he saw a ghost. But Anil looked at me dead serious and whispered, "Something took him, took." We had no choice but to continue. The terrain turned rocky, more vertical. Our compasses glitched frequently. Birds vanished. Even the snow was silent. Midday, the fog rolled in, thick like cream. Visibility dropped to 10 feet. That's when we started hearing them. Footsteps. Crunching snow. Always behind us, but never visible. At one point, I turned fast enough to catch a glimpse. A figure, tall, emaciated, wrapped in something like a tattered robe. Its face was just bone. No eyes, no skin, just frost-covered teeth and a frozen scream. I told myself it was altitude sickness. That night, we camped below Junargali Ridge. Zoya couldn't sleep. She kept scribbling in her notebook, sketching that same skeletal figure again and again. She said it whispered to her in a language she didn't understand. I told her she was exhausted. Then I saw Anil, standing outside the tent, barefoot in the snow, just standing, staring at the ridge. When I pulled him back, his skin was ice cold. He didn't remember getting up. We reached Rupkund just after sunrise. The lake was frozen, cracked. The bones lay scattered across the edges like broken toys. Skulls, femurs, ribs. Some partially buried, some still intact. It didn't feel sacred, it felt violated. That's when I saw it again. Not one, many, dozens. Figures in the mist, watching us from every direction. They didn't move, didn't blink. I shouted. Zoya turned, camera raised, but her lens cracked instantly, as if from pressure. And then, the mist screamed. Not wind, screamed. A high, tearing wail like metal shearing through bone. The lake cracked further. Anil collapsed. Blood dripped from his nose. Zoya tried to run but fell, screaming that something was pulling her down. Her boot was sinking into the ice like it had hands. I grabbed her, pulled with everything I had. We left our tents, our gear, everything, just ran. Behind us, I heard a sound I'll never forget, like bones grinding together. Hundreds of them. We didn't stop for 2 days. Walked through snow, forest, and sunburnt earth. Found a rescue team by pure chance near Wan village. Anil never spoke again. Zoya had frostbite on both legs, lost 3 toes. I was diagnosed with PTSD. I quit trekking for a year. Later, I read something in an obscure academic journal, a theory that Rupkun's skeletons were sacrificial. Not a pilgrimage gone wrong, but an offering, a sealing ritual, to trap something inside that lake, something which was trapped all these years. And we had disturbed it. 2 years later, I returned once, alone, just to see if what happened was real. At the edge of Rupkund, I found something. A new cairn, neatly built, with 3 stones. On top, Zoya's broken camera. I never touched it. I turned back and swore I heard the crunch of snow behind me. But I didn't turn around. Not again. I was born and raised in Karachi, the city of lights. But by 2016, I was living in Dubai, working a regular 9-to-6 finance job, slowly forgetting the smell of the sea breeze back home. But there was always this itch inside me, something raw, wild. Maybe it was the memories of school trips to Murray, or stories from my Nana about city of fairies in the north. But mountains called me, loudly, restlessly. That year, life had become a routine blur. Same work, same faces, same dead conversations. So when a friend from Karachi, Faizan, texted me, "Bro, wanna trek Nunga Parbat Base Camp? It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." It felt like a sign. I said yes, without even thinking. Nunga Parbat wasn't just any mountain, it was a monster. Locals called it the Killer Mountain, a title it earned after devouring dozens of climbers, especially in the 1930s when German expeditions kept disappearing on its icy slopes. They say even Reinhold Messner, the greatest mountaineer alive, lost his brother to its white jaws. But we weren't going to summit it. We only intended to trek till the base camp, supposedly manageable if you were fit. The idea was simple. Meet the group at Raikot Bridge, jeep ride to Tutu Village, then hike up to Fairy Meadows. From there, a tougher trail to Nunga Parbat Base Camp. It sounded thrilling. What no one told us was how those valleys hid something else, something older than snow and stone. Our group was a mix of strangers thrown together by a local trekking agency. There was Faizan, obviously. Then Hamza, the adventurous instigator. Muriam, a photographer from Karachi. Atif and his wife, Hina, both newly married and always arguing. Ali, an over-enthusiastic vlogger always recording everything. And of course me, Rayhan, quiet, observant. We met up at Chillas after a long drive through the Karakoram highway. The next morning, we loaded into jeeps at Raikot Bridge, bouncing up death-defying dirt tracks to Tutu Village. From there, the hike began. Fairy Meadows. Honestly, it lived up to its name. Verdant fields, sharp pines, and above all, the monstrous white crown of Nunga Parbat stabbing the sky. For a while, it felt like we were in a painting. On the second night at Fairy Meadows, we sat around a campfire. The caretaker, an old man named Baba Noor, warned us. "Beta, when it gets dark, don't wander too far. There are things in the forest that hate humans." We laughed. Typical village superstition, right? That night, I woke up around 2 a.m., feeling uneasy. I needed to use the bathroom, a shack a few meters away. When I stepped out, the air slapped me. It was bitter cold, and strangely heavy. And there, just near the tree line, I saw it. A figure, bent, moving. Wrong. It had long limbs, almost spider-like, but hunched like a sick dog. Its eyes, 2 small gleaming dots, fixed directly at me. I froze. I couldn't move. It didn't move. just watched. I stumbled backward into the hut and locked the door. Didn't sleep a wink after that. The next morning, we brushed it off. Maybe a wild animal, maybe a bad dream. Who cared? We were headed to the base camp. The trail grew harsher. Greens faded to gray rocks and brittle grass. Silence wrapped around us, only our boots and breath filling the air. Midway, Miriam pointed up a slope and gasped. "Look! What is that?" We all looked. A flash of movement high up. Something crawling unnaturally fast over rocks. Too big to be a fox, too fast to be a bear. Hamza chuckled nervously. Must be a goat. No one corrected him. No one wanted to. We camped near the base camp. Simple tents, thin sleeping bags. That night, around 3 a.m., Miriam woke me up. Her face was pale, eyes wide. "Rayhan, there is something outside the tent." At first, I heard nothing. Then, a soft scraping sound, followed by a low, guttural growl. Not a dog's growl. Something wet, broken. Like a dying thing pretending to be alive. I peeked through the tent zip just a sliver. What I saw has been tattooed in my mind forever. That same bent creature, but up close, its skin was gray, hairless. Its arms ended in clawed fingers that dragged behind it. Its face, half animal, half human, with rows of teeth too large for its mouth. It wasn't walking. It was crawling around our tents, marking us. I shut the zip and whispered, "Ya Allah," over and over. We all stayed silent till morning. On the way back, Hina, who had been quiet, suddenly stopped mid-trail. She started sobbing uncontrollably. It's still behind us," she cried. Atif hugged her, whispering soothing nonsense to calm her down. But then Miriam confessed. "I saw something too last night. I thought it was a dream, but those eyes, they weren't lying." That night at Fairy Meadows, Miriam had an even worse encounter. In the middle of the night, she heard something breathing against her tent wall. Then a voice, deep and gurgling, whispering, "Come with me." She said she saw long fingers pushing against the fabric, feeling for her. In terror, she flashed her torch through the tent wall. And for a split second, she saw the shadow of a creature whose head split into two like a flower opening. She didn't tell anyone that night because she thought she was going mad. The next day, we trekked back to Ryecote Bridge like hunted animals. No one cracked jokes. No one filmed videos. Even Ali deleted half his footage after he caught something crawling behind the trees in one clip, something he refused to even describe. When we got to Chillas, we crashed into a small hotel. That night I dreamt of it, that thing, whispering my name. But when I woke up, I wasn't sure if it had just been a dream, because there were scratch marks on the windowsill outside my room, fresh ones. 3 long, jagged scratches. We all made it back to Dubai and Karachi. No one disappeared. No one died. But things changed. Hamza would sometimes wake up screaming. Hina quit university, claimed she kept seeing shadows in lecture halls. Ali stopped uploading videos completely. As for me, some nights, when I'm alone, I feel something watching me from dark corners, noting, marking, waiting for me to acknowledge. You've been listening to Dark Eerie Chronicles. I'll see you in the next nightmare. Until then, keep your lights on.